Hey, what is up guys, Shitty Rags here, and one of the questions I see from players who are just starting out in Albion Online is, what do I do? Albion Online is one of those games that does not hold your hand. It lets you decide your own path, and that can be difficult in the beginning because if you don't know the game mechanics, it can lead to costly mistakes and wasted time. So I'm going to attempt to clearly explain the best I can how to get started and put you on a path to being successful in the world of Albion. After creating a character, you're going to be placed into a random starting zone. There are 5 starting areas designated by stars on the map, which are directly outside of 5 different starting cities. The starting cities are displayed as single house icons on the map. And you can open that world map with the M button or clicking right down here. Once you've created your character, it will show you which area you're going to be starting in right here. Once you enter into that tutorial zone, your objectives are going to be listed over here in the top right hand side. So the first objective is going to be to gather 3 logs. I'll click on a tree to begin gathering rough logs, and once that is complete, I will then be given the task of collecting 3 stones. So I'll go ahead and click on the stones, and once I've done that, it now wants me to craft a skinning knife. So I'm going to go ahead and locate the bench in the zone, click on the bench, and there's going to be 3 tabs on the right side. One is for weapons, one is for armor, and one is for tools. I'm going to go ahead and click on the 3rd tab, that is for the tools, and select the skinning knife, and then hit the craft button. Now that objective up in the top right hand corner is going to update, and it wants me to kill creatures and then skin them for hide. And once I've completed that, it updates again and it wants me to craft a jacket. So I go back to the bench, select the 2nd armor tab, and then craft the jacket. Now it tasks me with crafting a beginning sword, so I'll begin gathering materials. So once I have the sword crafted, it wants me to equip that, so I just hit the I button to open my inventory and left click on the sword to equip it. Armor and weapons have abilities attached to them, and those abilities will fill a hotkey spot. The key that ability is going to fill will be listed right here. So I select the ability and it populates the hotkey bar, and now I can use that ability by using the Q key or clicking on the button. If you're not in combat, you can open your inventory, left click on the item, and then change the spell or ability. Now at this point, I am free to leave the tutorial area, but what I opt to do is continue gathering and crafting the shield, the hood, the shoes, and each crafting tool. Once I've crafted all those items, I will then make my way down the path and into the starter city. And that's the last time you're going to receive directions. From this point forward, what path you choose to take is going to be your own decision. If I hit M, that's going to pull up the world map, and the red arrow is going to show my location. Now if I left click on that zone, it's going to zoom in and give a more detailed view and give me some information about that zone. The zone is blue, so it is a safe zone. It's also going to display the amount of players in the zone, the items that I can gather in this zone and their tier, and also the buildings in the zone and their tier as well. So by looking at this map, I can see that I can gather up to tier 2 items, and the building in this zone will allow me to craft up to tier 3. If you're starting the game with friends and you want to play together and they're in another zone, then you have 2 options. The first one is to delete your character and start over until it places you into that zone with them, or to begin running the outside zones until you get to your friend. It is possible to run the entire outside of the Royal Continent map safely from zone to zone in a complete circle. Each resource and each crafted item in Albion has a tier level, and that is listed in the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to show you how this all works together. There are no classes in Albion Online. Your abilities are determined by what you're wearing and what weapon you're wielding. So if you wanted to be a warrior class that uses melee weapons and has tanking abilities, you would craft and use items from the Warrior's Forge. If you wanted to be a magic user who wears robes and uses staffs to cast either damaging fire spells or healing spells, begin crafting and equipping items from the Mage's Tower. Or if you want to be more of a ranger DPS build, you'd begin crafting and wearing items from the Hunter's Lodge. You can also mix and match items. So for example, you could wear a plate helm and chest, carry a magic staff, and wear leather boots. The choice is up to you. I've decided to go ahead and stick with the warrior class. So after checking out the Warrior's Forge here, I would like to craft a Novice Broadsword, which is going to require 8 copper bars and 8 stiff leather. If I look at my mini-map in the bottom right, I can see the yellow signs. These are paths leading out of the starter city. I can also pull up my world map to get information on the zone's surrounding area to see if there's safe zones and what materials are in those zones. So I go ahead and I make my way into the zone in search of copper ore. The beginner tools I crafted back at the starter zone is going to allow me to collect up to tier 2 materials. As you gather resources, they will be depleted, but eventually they will respawn, and to prevent players from camping resources, when the material respawns, it's going to have limited resources, and those will begin to replenish over time. Pretty quickly I was able to gather 200 copper ore, but this has put me over the weight limit and is now affecting my movement speed. Your weight is displayed right here. So I'm going to go ahead and make my way back to the starter city. Now I'm back in the city, I'm going to open my map and locate the smelter. I've crafted all the copper into copper bars, but I still need the stiff leather, and I'm not going to be able to go out and hunt with all this weight, so I'm going to place these items into my bank. At the center of each town is a large chest, and you can move your items into that chest, but the bank is only local. So if I place items in this chest, and then I travel to another city, I'm not going to have access to those items from the other city's bank. The zone I was in before didn't have very much wildlife, so I'm going to go ahead and move into another zone, and soon enough I have a pretty good stack of rugged hide. I make my way back into the starting city, and I'm going to open my map and locate the tanner. I go ahead and craft the hide, go back to my bank and collect my copper bars, and then make my way to the Warrior's Forge and craft the Warrior's Novice Sword. You'll notice that even though I managed to craft the sword, it's red and I'm not able to equip it. That's because I don't have the proficiency required to use the item. If I right-click on the item, I can get a list of the requirements that I must meet in order to use that sword. This is the Destiny board, and it lists all the skills in the game and the paths you need to unlock those skills. So in order for me to use the sword, I have to get 200 fame from fighting creatures, and that will then unlock the ability. Fame is that red icon. In almost every activity you do in Albion, you're going to earn fame. I'm going to go ahead and kill these fox over here, and once I've hit that 200 fame, I can now equip the sword. We now know how to craft an item, and we know we must meet requirements to equip the items. But how do we unlock the next tier? The way you unlock the next tier of an item is by crafting more of the tier ahead of it. You'll notice the Journeyman's Sword is faded out, so it's not available for me to craft. I'll craft 3 more Novice Swords, and each time I'm going to gain fame from crafting those, and that fame is contributing towards completing the requirement that's going to let me craft the next tier. Now, what can I do with all these extra swords I'm going to be crafting? I have 3 different options. I can locate the market and sell the swords. If I hit the sell button and it shows an amount of silver already listed, then that means someone is offering that amount of silver for that item. If I hit sell, the sword will be sold and the silver automatically added to my inventory. If I'm not happy with that price, I can create a sell order, enter my own price, and then the item will go up for sale on the market. The next option is to go to the repair station, and on the second tab is the salvage button. Drag the item to the box and you will see what you're going to get from salvaging the item. So in this case, I would get 36 silver and some mats back. The last option is to study the item. I'll go back to the station I crafted the item at, hit the 3rd tab and drag the swords to the boxes and hit study. The items you study will be destroyed, but you're going to get fame for this option. This is the best option if you're trying to unlock the next tier. I continue crafting and studying swords, and eventually I unlock the 3rd tier swords. We're going to go even deeper into this here, and we're going to talk about power and quality. You don't have stats in Albion like strength or agility that you can raise. Your character's attributes are affected by the items you're equipping, their quality, and their power level. The higher your power level, the stronger you are. Each item in Albion has a power level, and they also have a quality. You have a chance of getting a higher quality item by continuing to craft that item. And the more skilled you are at crafting that item, the better chances you will have as well. So, a higher quality, lower tier item could possibly be stronger than a higher tier, lower quality item. If we look at these swords I have right here, the beginner sword is good quality and it has 60 power and it does 87 damage. And if I scroll down, I can see all the stats for the sword as far as DPS, etc. The normal quality Novice Sword has 300 power and does 107 damage. Now the next Novice Sword is good quality. You can see that it has a silver corner, which is telling me that it is a better quality sword. It does have the same damage, but higher overall stats. There are 5 different quality levels: normal, good, outstanding, excellent, and masterpiece. Creating higher quality items is random, but you can increase your chances by having a higher skill level at crafting that item. In order to craft the Tier 3 Journeyman Sword, I'm going to need to collect Tier 3 resources, but my beginner tools are only going to allow me to collect up to Tier 2. I'm going to need to craft higher level crafting tools at the toolmaker, and crafting tools follow the exact same rules as crafting weapons or swords or armor. In order to unlock the next tier, you need to continue crafting the previous tier, and crafting tools also have quality. So now your goal should be to gather resources, craft all your Tier 2 weapons, armor, and tools, continue unlocking all the Tier 3 items, craft all your Tier 3 items, and then unlock the Tier 4. Once you unlock Tier 4, those items are not craftable at the starting cities. You'll need to travel to a main city, and the main cities are designated by multiple home icons. In those cities, you're going to find player-owned buildings that are going to allow you to craft the Tier 4 items, and we'll talk more about those buildings in the next video. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is making silver. There are multiple ways to do that in the beginning. 2 ways I've went over already is you can craft items and salvage them, or you can sell them on the market. Some other things you could do, you could always collect resources and sell them on the market. And in each starting city, there's an expedition. If you kill the boss at the end of that expedition, you're going to receive 1,000 silver. Think of those as like single player instance dungeons. Now, in most zones, you're going to see dungeons that will appear as green circles on the mini-map. And around these dungeons are NPC camps, and you can collect silver by killing the NPCs around those camps. Also, you can make your way down into the dungeons, and at the bottom of the dungeons, there are random boss spawns. Anywhere you see flaming swords on the ground, that means a boss could possibly be in that area, and if you kill that boss, they're going to drop a larger amount of silver. But I'm going to show you the easiest way I found to make silver in the beginning. Directly north of Highland Cross is Slime Hog. This is a relatively small zone because the dungeons take up a majority of the middle. Now, all along the outside of the zone are small NPC camps. These are at random locations, and they change when the server restarts. What I would do is run around the zone and locate these camps and kill the NPCs in those camps. Sometimes at the camp, you're going to see a glowing chest. If the chest was there, I'd go ahead and kill the NPCs and collect the silver from the chest, which is always 1,887 pieces of silver. I then would continue making my rounds from camp to camp looking for the next chest. In 1 hour doing this, I was able to get 5 chests, kill a bunch of NPCs, and get well over 10,000 silver, which is a pretty significant amount for a starting player. Okay guys, that's all I have for now. I really hope this helps you get started in Albion Online, and it gives you a clear explanation on what to do in the beginning. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to get a mount, player-owned buildings, and buying your own island. Oh, and one last thing, this might come up for you in the beginning. If you want to whisper another player, the easiest way to do that is to click on the player to target them. Now, right-click on their icon and select whisper, and then just type the message in the chat window. I hope this video helps you out. If you found it useful, please hit that thumbs up button and let me know. Until next time, I will talk to you later.